What's juicy with that quarter pounder, baby? Yes, as you can see, we are back with a second video today in the same day. What in the same day? What I said the same. What I said the same day. What? Okay. Anyways, professional QC classy manner of all that Negro side. Um, Today we are reacting to the Met Gala 2025. Now, this is a very interesting Met Gala because this Met Gala, compared to other Met Galas, was not trending as popular as former ones were. I think people are really tired of the whole event for only rich people and famous people things, while everybody else is kind of more in a jealous mood these days of, oh, well, I have to work my 9 to 5, or I have to pay my bills on time, I have to worry about my rent, worry about feeding my kids, putting food on the table, etc. It's hard out here while they can live these lavish lifestyles and etc. Now, in terms of that, I think that I agree, people have finally really woken up to reality and understanding the difference between you and a celebrity. And these Met Galas I feel like, are kind of starting to finally really drain out. Um, Personally, I don't really see them in the future. Of course, I mean they're there for the exquisite. They're not really there for the general public of like the middle/low class. It's there for the rich people anyway. It's an event for rich people because it's from brands to brands to brands to luxury designers for them to promote their new material and etc. And fashion designers, of course, too. So honestly, if we're being honest, child, whenever you do get that money up, you know where to find the event, I guess. I don't know, child. Maybe I don't know. But we can see what's going on with these little opinions and this fashion critiques that I found in this here little video. Child, let's get right up into it. Remember, guys, like, comment, and subscribe. Share the channel with your friends and video, baby. It's time to get gnarly. No cats, I bitch. Okay, honey, because, girl, whoop. I don't know what the hell them lyrics was.
About the 2025 Met Gala. One of the
Let's
biggest
talk.
events of the year is without a doubt the Met Gala, a
She
fundraising
was
benefit
cute.
that is
She was
traditionally
cute.
held on the
I don't know
first
what
Monday
those
of
got.
May
Oh, but
at the
I was there.
Metropolitan Museum of Art.
Chapel
Established
Room
in
her.
1948, it began as a simple dinner to
I'm
celebrate
sorry,
the
hold on.
costume in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Established in 1948, it began as a simple dinner to celebrate the Costume Institute's annual exhibit. But as the years have passed, the Met Gala has become a more elaborate affair, turning into a fashion show featuring some of the most
1948.
recognizable celebrities in the world.
This
This
damn
year's
ago.
exhibit was super
That
fine,
picture was
tailoring
cute.
black style,
What?
turning into a
Her
fashion
outfit was
show
really
featuring
cute
some of the
too.
most recognizable celebrities. Has become a more elaborate affair.
Well, look on this picture. Okay, that's Laura. That's who else in this picture? Where are they at? Are they in the bathroom? What the hell?
Fair, turning into a fashion show featuring some
Look
of
at
the most
ASAP.
recognizable
Homegirl
celebrities
Genius,
in the
man.
world.
Right on
This year's
her.
exhibit was
Sweet.
super fine, tailoring black style, which was inspired by Monica L. Miller's 2009 book,
Super fine tailored black style.
Slaves to Fashion, Black
The cap's
Dandyism,
on.
and the Styling of Black Diasporic Identity. Similar to the book, the exhibition
Interesting.
focuses on the Black Dandy, who used clothing as a way of self-expression, respect, and rebellion. The dandy
from
initially
the black
emerged in
culture?
Europe in the 18th century, with young wealthy men placing an emphasis on being
Oh,
well
that
groomed
type
and
of
dressed.
dandy.
One of the first black dandies was Julius Soubise, who was brought to London from the Caribbean as a slave. He was eventually
so it is
freed by
black
the Duchess
pride.
of Queensberry, who was known to be
Okay, I
quite
knew it.
eccentric, and she treated him as she
Black
would
people
her
on
own
group chat.
child,
I'm not
funding his
surprised.
education and social activities. Julius dressed in a stylish manner that would have been the standard for any aristocrat, but because of his race, he was both celebrated and ridiculed for his fashion choices. As the slave trade grew, aristocrats found ways to flaunt their wealth in even more conspicuous ways, dressing their slaves in elaborate fashions that were detached from their cultural heritage, turning them into accessories who had dandyism forced upon them. In the late 1800s, black civil rights activists like Frederick Douglass, Booker T. Washington,
Why do I not remember this? Slave masters dressing up their slaves as accessories is not new to me. That I know. But the whole them dressing them fancy next to them in pictures, I've never heard of that until today. I've never heard of that. Perhaps maybe if there was a favorite slave they would dress them up in like the most luxurious of pearls and diamonds, but they're not made to be a person. They're there to be an extra accessory, so they look good next to whoever the white tee is. But that's interesting that his theme is actually based off of slavery. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I figured it was, but I thought it was more refined in Europe from something else. I actually did not know it was a direct link from slavery itself.
And W.E. Du Bois donned
But I feel like
Eurocentric
you can
fashions
kind
like
of put
top
those two and
hats
two
and
together.
waistcoats to force people to give them respect. And with this refined clothing being used to directly challenge racism, it evolved from a symbol of compliance to rebellion. During the Harlem Renaissance of the 1920s, African American cultural expression was on the rise, with art, music, dance, literature, and politics thriving. Fashion was used by the Black community as a way of protecting the limitations that had been placed on them, with men donning sharp suits, bow ties, and fedoras to highlight their elegance and flamboyance. Some women, like Josephine Baker and Gladys Bentley, fashioned themselves in similar suited styles, but more feminine outfits were similarly ostentatious, with fur coats, flower brooches, and beaded embellishments. As the years passed, the style evolved in different ways, like the bold colors and accessories of the 1970s or the luxury sportswear and logomania of the 1990s. As a reinterpretation of contemporary fashion trends that was tied to their cultural identity, the Black dandy has been able to repeatedly defy societal, racial, and gendered norms. Like any fancy party, the Met Gala has a dress code, which this year is tailored for you. Although influenced by the exhibit's emphasis on the Black dandy, it's more focused on suits and structure.
Oh, that's
I don't
Lupita.
doubt that this dress code was for the sake of the event's non-Black guests, who might have had trouble
Sabrina, look at my girl.
Of a Black dandy without drifting into appropriation territory. As is always the case when the Met Gala is concerned, some guests do a great job of following the dress code and referencing the theme, while others do the bare minimum. Because Black dandyism is rooted in masculine styles, male attendees had a lot more references to pull from than usual.
As they should.
So instead of the sea of boring black suits that we usually get, there were actually some really fun and interesting looks. Some of my favorites included Lewis Hamilton, Shabuzi, Chance the Rapper, Ibrahim Smart, Jeremy Harris, and Damson Idris. Even though I did like Coleman Domingo's suit, I was a bit disappointed since I've seen him in more eye-catching looks for other red carpets. And since he was one of the event's co-chairs, I feel like there was no better time to pull out all the stops. It's also a shame that Wisdom K wasn't invited this year, because I think he would have absolutely killed it. I had originally thought that Alton Mason's outfit was a reference to Prince or MC Hammer, Black artists who were known for their flamboyant style choices, but he later admitted that it was inspired by his favorite anime, JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, leaving me a bit conflicted about the look as a whole, but at least it's well constructed. One outfit that took me by surprise was S. which combined a Korean hanbok with a classic zoot suit. While it might appear like a total
martial artist with a aesthetic, luxurious gown, I love the way it looks, baby. I love the way it looks. They always have a surprise K-pop idol at the Met Gala, so I was wondering who it was going to be this year. I remember last year, I believe it was Johnny. And now I'm looking back, and today, this year, when I was looking through the Met Gala's ass combs, is what I said when his name appeared, and when I saw him, what the hell is he doing? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, girl, what's 17 at? 17, yeah.
Little deviation from the theme at first glance, I actually think that there's a good balance. And considering Black dandyism was a form of self-expression for the Black community, I think this fashion fusion ties into that mindset. A bunch of celebrities wore capes as a reference to Andre Leon Talley, former creative director of Vogue, and one of the most well-known Black dandies of the 21st century. Talley's penchant for capes were inspired by aristocratic fashions of prior centuries, donning them in a variety of cuts and colors, and some were even selected to appear in the exhibit itself. While this was a pretty creative way for guests to reference the theme, I do think some did a better job than others by actually integrating it into their outfits in a meaningful way. The biggest influence on women's fashion this year was without a doubt the zoot suit, with pinstripes, padded shoulders, neckties, and high-waisted trousers making frequent appearances on the red carpet. Some people went in a more avant-garde direction, exaggerating the silhouette and heavily accessorizing with top hats, canes, pocket watches, and gloves. Rihanna, Jodie Turner-Smith, Tiana Taylor, Cara Young, Tessa Thompson, and Janelle Monáe all went all out, and it's actually impossible for me to pick one as my absolute favorite. Some people opted for more simple suits to emphasize the tailoring aspect.
I
And
never
while
know
they
it was
might not
there.
be as ostentatious as what people have come to expect from the Met Gala, I don't think there's anything wrong with showing off nice, clean lines.
Laura
I mean,
is
just
so
look at what
cute.
Zendaya wore compared
Look
to
at
Anna
that.
Sawai. There's just a bit more oomph to it. Dochi's suit was a bit
Look at Zendaya
contentious,
got
but I
that modeling
personally like
persona.
the sort of youthful, boyish quality
Hers
that it
was so
has.
cute.
And I do think it's interesting how the silhouette is a sort of modern take on 18th century clothing. I just wish they'd taken the logomania just a tiny bit farther, especially since it was a surprisingly rare motif on the red carpet despite its importance in black fashion. A lot of people opted for skirts or dresses inspired by menswear, and while they weren't necessarily offensive, I did find them pretty boring. Anne Hathaway and Hailey Bieber honestly could have stayed at home. That's how unimpressed I was. But Mindy Kaling, Zoe
I know they was
Saldana, and
there.
Suri Hall more than made up for it. Besides the gowns fitting them like a
Mindy
glove,
Kaling
there were
actually was
also so
good.
many unique details that I could have looked at them for hours. Bodysuits were surprisingly popular this year, but I
they
personally
were.
think there were more misses than hits. I did like Doja Cat's Marc Jacobs look, which paid homage to Grace Jones, and the sort of gaudy 1980s direction was a
That
nice
shit
change
look
of
a
pace
mess.
from the
I'm
more
sorry.
historical inspired looks. Sabrina Carpenter's
She
outfit
look
looked
crazy
great, but it's pretty
as hell.
derivative of her usual
She
performance
looked
attire.
like the damn Tasmanian devil from the Looney Tunes. Like, girl, what is going on? Like, what is that? I'm sorry, I could not. I understand the representation. I could not get into it. I could
1980s
not.
direction was a nice change of pace from the more historical inspired looks. Sabrina Carpenter's outfit looked
She
great,
is
but it's
so
pretty
cute.
derivative of her usual performance attire, and I find it eerily similar to what Kendall Jenner wore to the 2023 Met Gala,
No.
which I also wasn't a fan of. I know that she was told she couldn't wear pants because she's so short, but a truly great tailor would have been able
Really?
to work with her proportions. Lisa also wore a bodysuit, and it's caused quite the hubbub online. According to Louis Vuitton, the lace was custom made and depicted people found in Henry Taylor's art, but some people think that they put Rosa Parks on her crotch, which, as you can expect, wasn't considered very respectful. I personally can't tell if it's Rosa Parks or just a random woman wearing glasses, but I just didn't think the look
Right,
as
'cause
a
how we know
whole
they're
was
Rosa?
very imaginative. Honestly, I didn't find any of the outfits the Blackpink girlies wore to be impressive, but if I had to choose one, I guess I'd go with Jennie. It's at least accessorized in a fun way.
All right, Jenny.
The worst outfit of the entire night was hands down Amelia Gray in Valentino. The do-rag felt tone deaf, the layers disjointed, and the lace totally cheap. I really don't know what they were thinking. A common misconception
That shit did
about
look
tailoring is that it primarily
Like a
refers
rap
to
in the,
suits, but it's actually
70s.
about the construction of a garment as a whole and the use of underlinings to create an ideal fit. This is crucial not only for bespoke suits, but gowns, which is why I'm not quick to write off anyone who didn't wear some iteration of a blazer. Admittedly, most of these looks were average at best, except for Jenna Ortega, whose balmain gown was made out of shiny silver rulers, a reference to the tool that tailors frequently use, which is brilliant if you ask me. And as a whole, I wish we'd
Oh, it
seen
is
a lot
brilliant.
more references to the sewing process, like pattern pieces or chalk lines.
Still like metal
Both
duct
Gigi
tape, though.
Hadid and Sydney Sweeney wore custom Miu Miu gowns that reference the past, and while both are
Oh, wow, those are
impeccably
really
tailored,
pretty.
I still need them to have a good story. In Sydney's case, she was inspired by Kim Novak, whose short-lived
That's
relationship with Sammy
gorgeous.
Davis Jr. is the subject of a movie that Sydney will be starring in,
I didn't actually look
directed
at
by
hers too
Coleman
much.
Domingo. Sammy Davis Jr. was an incredibly influential black dandy, but I think
Sammy
referencing
Davis?
him directly would have been way more interesting than his
Mm-hmm.
white girlfriend. Especially considering Sydney is no doubt going to be
Oh.
wearing something similar whenever the movie comes out. As for Gigi, she recreated a look worn by Josephine
looks
Baker, which was designed
gorgeous.
by Zelda Wynne Valdez, who was one of the first black couturiers to be recognized nationwide.
My Zelda?
Since there are just a few more levels
Okay.
to Gigi's reference, I'll
Now
give
her
her
name
a
was
better grade
Zelda.
than
That's so
Sydney.
beautiful.
I'm also just a sucker for this
I would
sort
love
of
to meet her
silhouette.
back in the
It's
day.
very atonement. One thing that was sorely missing at this year's Met Gala was color, which is pretty ironic considering the theme of the exhibit. Now, since the actual dress code was tailoring for you, the priority was good tailoring. And I appreciate that the vast majority of attendees managed to do that. But after a
Yeah.
certain point, all of their looks started to blend together. Almost every outfit
Yep.
was black or white, with the occasional dash of red here or there. But a big part of black dandyism is an emphasis on bright colors and bold patterns, not only as a rejection of conformity, but as a reference to traditional African patterns.
Yes, ma'am.
My eyes were so starved of color at a certain point that anytime I did see some
Whoa. Hers
patterns.
was. Is
My
that
eyes
Fifi? But her name was Fifi. That is gorgeous. I likes me that. And I hate feathers. But I likes me that. They're going homegirl Lauren. This one alright. This one alright. It's interesting to see more looks outside of what I've seen on pictures in the Discord server, in our Discord server. Because we actually did a whole Met Gala review kind of up in there when I was on stream. So it's interesting to see more viewpoints.
Starved of color at a certain point, that anytime I did see something remotely colorful, I appreciated it regardless of its adherence to the theme.
Oh, wow,
a lot of outfits at the Met Gala were constructed beautifully, but they wound up fading into the background because they looked so similar. And choosing a fun color could have been such an easy fix for that. This is probably the best Met Gala of the 2020s so far, even if it isn't in my top 5 of all time. And I respect that overall the evening was pretty cohesive.
This theme was amazing.
I think this high success rate has a lot to do with the dress code, which was specific enough for people to stay on theme while still being broad enough for people to be creative. That's what went wrong in 2023 and 2024, I think. In Honor of Carl was too specific, resulting in an endless wave of tweed and pearls and bows, while the Garden of Time was too vague, leading to a bunch of random flowers and metallics.
Yeah.
Everyone usually cites the 2018 Met Gala as their favorite, with the exhibit being heavenly bodies, fashion, and the Catholic imagination, while the dress code was Sunday best. And that easy-to-follow combination gave people the perfect jumping-off point for their ethereal looks. With that in mind, I hope they continue this balance next year, because I was starting to lose faith for a minute there. There's been more discourse revolving around the Met Gala than usual, with some requesting for a boycott of the event, and the internet being full of comparisons to the Capitol in the Hunger Games. I myself have made the same joke offhandedly, but I do think it's important to understand that the Met Gala does serve an actual purpose, and it isn't just a way for the rich and famous to flaunt their wealth in our faces, even if it feels that way. Like many museums, the Met is funded in a variety of ways, including membership fees, retail products, private and public donations, and government grants,
art,
which amounts to roughly $500 million annually, with nearly half of that going towards employee salaries. However, the Costume Institute, which is its own curatorial department with one of the largest collections of clothing and accessories in the world, isn't supported by the rest of the Metropolitan Museum. As a result, the Met Gala is their primary source of funding. In 2025, the Met Gala rate...
So all that money isn't going directly to the employees, and I feel like they're also taxing, especially with these tariffs in effect now, I feel like that they're also taxed as well. I don't believe all that is going to the employees. I do think... I don't know too much about it, but I feel this is an inside scoop. I don't believe that's all going to the employees for real, but at the same time, you have nothing but rich folk there. So you definitely still are getting a lot of money, but I don't think they're getting all the money, in my personal opinion.
It's $31 million for the Costume Institute, the most to date. And while $75,000 seats, when most of us can't justify buying eggs, might seem out of touch, it doesn't make the event any less important, especially now. Time and time again, we've seen dictators come for the arts. Adolf Hitler did it, Francisco Franco did it, Mao Zedong did it, Pol Pot did it. And now Donald Trump is attempting to do it, following a disturbingly familiar pattern of restricting content, defunding art institutions, and harassing artists, all under the guise of making America great again. And while the theme of the exhibit was chosen ages ago, I think it's interesting that this year's Met Gala is a celebration of Black history and culture at the exact same time diversity, equity, and inclusion programs are being targeted. People love to act as though fashion is frivolous, even though clothing is something that each of us wears every single day. And I'd argue that there's no better way to document exactly what's happening culturally than with clothing. If you can understand the significance of Da Vinci's Mona Lisa or Van Gogh's Starry Night, then the 7 centuries worth of clothing in the Costume Institute deserves your respect as well. I mean, some of those dresses are older than the United States. What were your thoughts on the 2025 Met Gala? I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye!
Okay, honey child. Well, let's see, child. Let's see. Okay, so, in my personal opinion, I think that you made solid points. Especially with this Met Gala. This Met Gala is probably more important to me than other Met Galas. No shade. This is probably one of the very first Met Galas that it's really black inclined in terms of Black history and what it's about in the theme entirely. It was I liked her in-depth analysis of all the Black tailors, all the Black dandy individual folks from back in the day who represented the style, and it's now being represented in the modern day area in everybody's own way. But the theme is very black inclined all the way through and through. Now, the thing what I kind of don't like about it is that it originally came from a slave point, which I'm not surprised. Most things are when it comes to old black history in America. And the whole black people were used as an accessory, and they were only dressed up as a prop for the white tea slave master next to them. So it's like you dressing up for a theme that's kind of based off this as a prop to a white slave master. And it's just like, I don't really know how I should feel about that. I guess that's not how indirect as it is taken now as it was back in, that century. But I don't know. The whole theme genre of it is it originally came from it stoppled off that source because it came from a specific black slave who I can't remember the name of now, even though she said it in the video at the very beginning of who she was talking about. And then, based off that, going off that, let's go to the looks. The looks themselves, based off that theme, were very good. Actually, I didn't have a problem with the majority of the looks. I liked a lot of the looks, and I was very impressed. I liked it. It was a very simple, easy theme, too. It was on point. Bitches was getting fabulous. Bitches was up. Bitches was stuck. I don't have too much negative press to say about it. I liked it. I liked it a lot. There was a few etc. But the black culture was getting a theme on point, baby. The black culture, the black people, they was there for it, honey. They was there for it. Miss Anaki was my favorite, number one best dressed out of everybody. I liked her the most. But the culture, they did not fail. They really didn't. They said the damn Met Gala because I don't know what the hell the white people was doing this year. Honey. They came out of SpongeBob Pineapple, the way how most of them was walking to that Met Gala. You could have thought they were you could have thought they was in a car crash before they came to that Met Gala. I'm just like, child, what is going on, honey, baby? But we know the original black tailors are black, so we understand. I don't even know how that went, cause baby, the white people were done injusticely wrong, except a cute little few of them. Dua Lipa actually did her thing though. I liked hers and a few others, but overall the theme was excellent. I don't have too much negative press to say about it. I think that it's interesting to hear the viewpoint on the whole Met Galas for the rich, the middle class, and lower class ain't really paying attention to it no more, and etc. I'm kind of glad she actually went into that too, because I was kind of very passionate on that in the beginning of the video. Now, why I see what the Met Gala is for in terms of more artistry and for brands to promote this art in this hard working way, this tailored fashion from how they came up. I know it's kind of interesting to see the now genre of it now. I don't believe it was taken that way back in the 1900s to where it is in the modern day era. I think it is more so richly inclined now than it ever was before, and more so for a stunt for a lot of people. But I understand it's raised money for donations and etc. to other people to go there, and for employee, what she said, employee benefits, employee checks for them as well. Like I said, I don't believe all that money is going to them, especially with the tariffs, and also with Donald Trump trying to shut down these artistry museums and history and etc. So, I don't know, child. It's very interesting, very interesting. But that's going to do it for this video, honey. Let me know your comments, thoughts, and concerns in the comment section below. Child, thank you for tuning in for a second video today. And I will catch you guys on the flip side. Snap, 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 snap in a circle, baby. Okay, now, I'm going to catch y'all later.